Hello, welcome to Rockstar Diaries Healing Out Loud with heart, humor, and harmony.
Today's special guest is Laurie Hardie.
Yes.
Seattle radio personality and author, speaker, coach, and podcaster. She loves to help women leave their legacy by telling their stories, whether privately or broadcasting to the world.
She was a single mom of 3 and is now Grandma LaLa. 26. Woo! She's passionate about helping people speak in a way that truly connects.
During COVID, she had a powerful realization. Her background in broadcasting and her degree in social services came together as she noticed a troubling trend. Podcasters and Zoom leaders thought they were being inclusive, but their communication style was unintentionally isolating for many listeners.
Now she helps voices become more inviting, intentional, and impactful. She helped us for sure.
That's right.
She incorporates 35 plus years in broadcasting into her 7-day podcast pro program, which will launch your podcast in just 7 days.
7 days, people.
A big Rockstar Diaries applause for Miss Laurie Hardie. Yay! I'm so happy that you are here.
Oh, it's so fun to be here and see what you're doing. It's so amazing.
And you're on video, not just radio.
It's very hard for me.
They say that, people go on radio all those years because they don't have a face for TV. You have a face for TV. You remind us of Helen Mirren, a younger version of Helen Mirren.
Yes, you really do. You're just superstar quality. We just love you so much. And we're happy to be here. There's so much to talk about. Would you mind just giving a brief intro? We're going to go off screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And just say whatever you want about yourself.
Oh, my goodness. Well, my little elevator speech when I wrote my book was after 14 years of marriage and 3 kids, my husband left me for David. And not only that, he cemented my status as a single mom. And so that's why I wrote the book. I wanted to help people. And it was before podcasting. It was before we had, this easy way to communicate and connect with people. And so that was kind of my turning point when I became a single mom. And I thought, I got to leave a legacy for these kids. And so I started to think about getting back into radio. And it was not easy. In fact, maybe we'll talk about this more, but I tried and tried, and I was they said I was lined up for a top station in Seattle, and I got the message, you didn't get the job. And at the time I was working for Big Brother, Big Sister, and I had to go to the Family Resource Center, which was where my office was in the afternoon because I met with the bigs and the littles there. So I left my office, went there. But before I went, I called. I said, hey, you guys have been so supportive. I didn't get the job. Please don't say anything to me because I'll cry. And I don't want all these kids to see me cry. So I get there and, the schools have that construction paper. There was this red carpet rolled out of this construction paper. And I thought, I've been so into my own thing, trying to get a job on radio, that I forgot someone's birthday. So I ran to the back room and I said, hey, whose birthday did I forget? And they all jumped up and they go, surprise, it's a pity party. They had a pity party for me. And, before I got there, I was done. Janine, I was not going to try again. And afterwards I tried again. And that's when I got into Seattle radio.
Yes.
Well, before I met you in person, and we can talk about that story, I knew you. I called you Seattle's Delilah because you have such a calming voice that just makes people feel good about who they are and where they are and what they're doing. You do that for us.
To me, I don't feel like I work with so many famous people with these amazing voices. So I always feel like I'm the average Joe, but thank you.
I was going to say, you call yourself Grandma LaLa.
Grandma LaLa.
Did the kids name you that, or how did you come up with that name?
Yeah, I think it was because a lot of my friends called me LaLa because when I first started in radio, I went by LA Hardie. And so people are like Los Angeles, and I'm like, no, Laurel and Hardie. And so I think that they just picked up on it. So yeah, now it's Grandma LaLa.
Oh, I love that. And how old are they now?
Oh my goodness, I have a high schooler, a middle schooler, 2 elementary, and then one that's going to be 3, and a brand new baby who's just 5 months old.
Yes, I remember when they were born.
Oh.
Oh my goodness. There's so much to talk about because you are multi-talented, multi-dimensional, and I don't even know where to begin. Where would you like to begin?
Well, it's interesting because I've been watching your show, and you have these people that have, worked with amazing stars, and then now here we're in this season we lost someone we grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking about when I met you, and then I met Tracy, and you were telling us about the things that were doing. It was just before you launched your CDs.
Yes.
And I thought, isn't it amazing the people that we come in contact with in our lives? And it's wonderful when we meet famous people, but also it's so amazing how in this world, when we support each other and we take people along with us as we step into whatever our next is.
You're watching the Rockstar Diaries TV show.
Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, my team and I are happy to help. We work across all price points and specialize in helping clients relocate from anywhere in the country. Give me a call, 214-708-2450.
Well, number one, you were the first to say, you guys need a podcast or a TV show. Like your synergy between each other is dynamic. And we're like, really? We're just being our quirky selves, right? But
Yes.
but you're right. We were talking in the car about it's a platform to honor the people that you either have grown up with and, the deep connections you've made, because it's like full circle when all of a sudden you're talking to somebody that you admired for so many years, like me to you. And now you're like our best friend and sister.
We have the opportunity today to hear your golden nuggets.
Yes.
Not our interpretation of your golden nuggets. What you say and what you have to say is amazing because you've been in this industry for so long.
Yes.
And you're able to help. I'm talking not just help, turn it around for some people, even podcasters who've been doing it for years. You're able to show them things that, oops, I totally didn't realize I was doing that.
Yeah.
Can you give us some ideas, a little bit of golden nuggets, some pointers there?
Oh, way to put her on the spot.
I love that so much because do you ever listen to a pod? Well, first of all, I'll tell you this. I don't tell everyone they should have a podcast, just so you know.
We never thought
like they have a quality. But during COVID and I was on Zoom and I was isolated because I was single, and I was on all of these Zoom calls, and what I kept noticing was people, like leaders that were on Zoom, they'd be like, "Hey, you guys," and it took me a little bit to make the connection, but in Radio 101, the first thing we learn is you're talking to one person.
Yes.
Like you're having coffee. And I thought I would feel bad after the Zoom. And then I thought, this is very vulnerable. I thought, they don't even care about me. And the truth is, a lot of those leaders, they don't know you. You're in a call because you're learning or it's a training or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, am I a narcissist? And I thought about that for a while. Maybe I'm a narcissist. But what I recognized, because my degree is in social services, I work with homeless women and women in recovery. And then I made the connection. Oh, when they say, you guys, they feel like they're embracing, they feel like they're hugging their audience. But if you think about it, it's like they've stepped up and they're looking down and they're going, hey, you guys. And I want to hear, and this is, and so then I think, oh, I don't mean to be like a broadcast snob, but I want to hear, did do you like this? Is this something you resonate with? Not you guys. Because what I noticed is when they say you guys, people go like this. They just start taking their picture off, not paying attention. Even though they're listening, they're like, you're not talking to me. You don't care about me. And then I thought, well, is that kind of like a sales thing where you're being kind of sneaky but I think if we can make people feel like they matter in this time when people are so lonely. And so before I have people on a podcast, I ask them, I say, when you tell a story, will you tell it and say, I did this and I did that? Because the other thing when I started my podcast is they go, well, when you go on this diet and you lose all this weight and you feel so wonderful, now you have alienated part of my audience, those amazing women that try so hard and can't lose weight. Yeah. And I found myself saying that I've done all the things and I'm not getting the results. Well, the reason is, and you know this, there's not a blueprint for everything. Not the same thing works for everyone. And if we could be thinking in our mind, when I started in radio, we didn't have computers or anything. And my nephew, he was only 3, and he always said, Auntie Laurie, you're my best friend. And so I'd take a little picture of him and put it, on my mic, on top of my mic, and I would just talk to Mark. And nobody knew it. I never said Mark, but I'd say, hey, did you know this song was written by but performed by? And so that's how I did my DJing. I always acted like I was just talking to one person. And it's such an easy fix, and it makes such a big difference.
Ever since you said that, we're not perfect. We're still work in progress, but that is always something in everything that I do, everything that he does, we've taken it to heart. It does make a difference. And when you think about it, I'm the same way. When I'm listening to, somebody on the TV or whatever, and they're like, hey, all y'all, it doesn't have the same impact.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean you don't like the leader. It's just like, it's that, I think, so when I said I felt like a narcissist, what I recognized, it's that human connection. We want to feel like we matter. And here's the thing I love about you two, you're musicians. And I think I told you this, musicians are better at this because when you're singing on stage, you're not singing to everybody. When you write a song, you're not writing it for everybody.
Yeah.
And so there's that intimacy. And when people, I'm not a singer, I play the guitar a little, but when I'm in the audience and a musician is singing, I'll be like, I think they just looked at me. And my friends are like, no, they just looked at me. It's and if I walk away feeling like that singer looked at me, what am I I'm going to buy their album. I'm going to think they're my best friend. I'm going to promote them in every way. And it's not like a trick. It's just like showing people we care and that they matter and that one is enough.
That's so right. It comes down to like, it's not really network connection, but it's a connection that we're creating when you meet people, whatever you do. I mean, it's kind of like an art. We shouldn't tell it the secrets. Make them buy the course.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you just can't say it in like a sentence, how to do that. Mm-hmm. It really does take someone to actually listen and go through a course like your podcast course is. Once someone goes through that, it's like, oh, aha. You get those moments.
Yeah. And that's what I love about it, because first of all, if you're busy, I say businesswoman, but entrepreneur, you've already done talks. You've already got a ton of content. So we take all of that. So you've already got a backlog. And then I have them make some recordings, which is scary. I just say push record. But then I can listen and I can give some suggestions. I'm never like, don't do that. I just make suggestions because it is a process. I didn't get on the radio my first day. Oh my goodness. I found some tapes from my early years. Did I save them for my grandkids? No, I threw them away because we all start, and even on a podcast, people will be like, they want to be perfect first. I go, no, just do it first. And if you like, everyone's talking about Joe Rogan. If you go and listen to his first podcast in the basement where he's like, hey, whatever, we all evolve as we go. And so when we learn these little things, and like you said, we're not perfect. I still say you guys. And then I'm like, I said you guys, but you know, when we become more conscious of it, because then we become more aware of people and feeling like we want them to feel like they matter. And as a Christian, isn't that what we want? We always want people to feel like they matter and that we love them and God loves them.
Yes. Oh, amen to that. And you said something that actually hit me, because one of the first things you said to us is, don't wait till you're perfect. Just do it. Because I had worries. Oh, I'm going to stumble over my words. I'm not going to say this right or that right. And you said, just do it. Because if you don't nobody ever is perfect, you know?
I'm sure there's a lot of people in our audience right now who actually believe we are not perfect. What do you think about that?
Well, our first TV show, they said that they recommended that we do it without a guest and just ourselves. It was really awkward because we don't really like to talk about ourselves. I mean, I know that that's human nature to want to talk about yourself, but we felt really awkward and we're like, what do we say? You know, and I'm sure that came across, but then as soon as we started having guests, you know, it made all the difference. Did you find that true?
That is so interesting, because one of the things I say, people say, oh, I'm not sure I'll do good. And who wants to listen? And I say, it's not about you. If you're nudged to do something, then your job is to do it, whether you're good at it or not, and you get better. But this is what I think is really beautiful. And what I've noticed already in your TV shows is by highlighting others, your light shines, because you bring these, like you bring these things that maybe the average listener isn't going to think about. Like I can't remember the guitarist's name, the guy you just had on.
Domino?
Derek Domino, yes.
Domino. And you, Tracy, you brought up some things, some people, and I thought, isn't that fascinating? Because you're bringing so much more. He could have sat there and talked about himself, but because you were interacting with him, it made it so much richer, and your light shines. It's like, oh, Tracy knows a little bit about this. Oh, Janine knows a little bit about this. And so I feel like, and the way that you two interact so well together, it just makes it all the more, because you're just, it's like what I love about radio is we often call the morning show the zoo, which there's a lot of people and sometimes there's not, and you have to make it sound like there is. Like I'm having a party here all by myself. Well, you are able to do that and bring in all these angles and things, and it makes it so much more interesting.
Thank you.
What is, in your opinion, the difference between radio and podcasting?
Oh, that's a good question. One thing I love about radio, and right now I've gone from my steady Eddie full-time it wasn't full-time, but part-time everyday job to doing fill-in. And what I love about this fill-in job is it is live radio. And there is just nothing like live radio. Now, on the other hand, when I'm doing interviews and people like, I interviewed this scientist, he's an octopus scientist, and he had octopuses in his house in aquariums. His daughter grew up with them, so she did all the pictures for his book. And so I said, oh, you had so many octopuses living in your house. Which was your favorite? All of them. Well, what do you love about octopuses? Everything. And I go, I have 26 minutes. Are you going to say anything? And so I said, you know, the reason I wanted you on this show is I grew up here in the Pacific Northwest, and I walk on the beach all the time. And I saw in your promotion that it said you were walking on the beach and you saw an octopus, and that was it. You were like addicted. I go, I've never seen an octopus on the beach. Well, then he had stories to tell. And so, but I could edit that so that the listener didn't have to sit through the awkwardness of the beginning. So I do love being able to edit. Also, people tend to repeat themselves. Have you noticed that? Yeah. And so I just take all of that out, because who wants to hear, oh, it was Wednesday. No, it was Thursday. No, the dog had a shot that day. So I think it was Friday. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what day. They just want to hear the story. So the difference is when we record a podcast, we can take those things out. But I am finding people don't want to edit. They're like, I want to do a podcast, but I don't want to edit. So I have tricks around that too.
what if we had a skit where we were actually thinking up how to do a skit and didn't have anything ready for the skit?
I like that idea.
You like that? Oh, maybe.
What? How long have you been at this today? What in the heck? You have no ideas? You're in denial. You think you're funny? You're in denial. Denial. What? You think a wig is gonna make you famous? Put it on. Look at this. You got another one. Hey, put that on. Let's see if that's any better. Come on. Come on. Let's see if we got anything. You're in denial. Denial.
So what do you think? Weird Al Yankovic?
You're in denial. Denial. Oh my gosh. I'm going home. I'm going home.
Goodbye, Karen.
See you later, Karen.
And say cheese.
Oh, we just got back from Hostopia in Florida, and there was this one gal, and we could not stop laughing. It became a joke over the whole entire week because she's like, editing? No, I don't have time for that. But it was the way she said it. It was hilarious. She's like, are you kidding me? No. Remember that, Kelly?
Yeah.
And maybe that's the level of professionalism. Like this is what people say to me all the time. Everyone says I should be in radio because I talk a lot. And this is what our boss does. If you talk more than 15, 20 seconds, he comes in and he's like, shorten it up. Shorten it up. You know, less is more. That's right. You say this much in, a few words. And of course, now there's AI, but I didn't really use AI when I was, in radio. But sometimes it's really a skill to take a concept and then make it so that people really understand it. They get the whole gist of it, and it's over the intro of a song. So if you're a musician, give us a long intro to talk over.
That's interesting that you would say that, because one of the things we do say when people ask us about storytelling is that song is very different. You have 3.5 minutes to tell an entire story in a short period of time. Mm-hmm. And you really have to pick that one big idea and just be as concise as possible. And that's one thing that I learned, because I wanted to put everything in there. They need to know everything. It's just crazy.
I used to have to take news stories. They'd be like a whole page, and I have to get it down to 3 or 4 sentences. And, it's like edit. And then I'd be like, I don't want to take that out. But that's why I'm really good at it, because I had to really think about it. If I take this out, does it lose the flow? I don't want to wreck the cadence. But also, people don't have a lot of time. That's my other tip, Tracy, and you to do this is get to it. Because if you get right to it and then they like you, they want to know you. But if you start by, how are you? What did you do today? And like a lot of podcasts do, and they think it's just conversational. That word really means something different. But people are like, next. They don't have time for that. But if they like you, and then in the end, you're saying, oh, by the way, my daughter got an award. We're like, wow, your daughter got an award. But if you start with it, we don't care. And I hate to say that, but it's kind of human nature. Give me what I want. Mm-hmm. And then I'll decide if I want to hang around in your group.
I agree with you. And we have 56 minutes to tell the message, include commercials, because we're a variety show, and we are learning fast, very fast, to be concise and exactly what, needs to be in there, not with the guests, but just all the other stuff. We're getting good, aren't we? With the technology too. Oh my goodness.
In the first couple shows, that was kicking our butt. Technology. My goodness. because like we're learning this platform for the first time and all that kind of things. And even the practice doesn't work sometimes. And you just have to go with it. And all of a sudden, what is going on here? But hey, it's getting better. I appreciate it.
I did notice because you have like a variety show, you have a lot of transitions, and transitions can be hard. So
Yes.
kudos to you for recognizing that and getting right to it. Here you're going out, you're going in, and that can be, and it feels weird. Like I always say, because I mostly do traffic on the radio. I say, what if you turn on your radio and I go, hey, how's it going? I think it's going to rain today, but we might see some sun. And, I just think you're really great. And I'm glad that you're here. No, you want to hear there's an accident on 405 at 38th, get in the left lane.
Yep.
Then if I want to tell you something, you can decide I'm going to go back to music or I'm going to listen. People want to hear what they need. And I don't know that we're selfish. We just don't have a lot of time. And so let's get what we need. And then we'll go, oh, I kind of like this. And we'll hang out.
Now you're bringing up something that's pretty wild here. Has society changed to that point where it's like a 30-second microwave society? Because I feel blessed that I grew up in an era where I actually listened to the DJ talk about the song, talk about, how they wrote it or whatever, how it got on the album, all kind of different nuances, Wolfman Jack, all kind of craziness. And you don't hear that anymore.
Don't forget about the 10-minute guitar solos on songs. Classic rock.
You know what we call those?
What?
Potty breaks.
Potty breaks.
I love
back
it.
in the day when you
the stairway having the potty break.
Exactly. You had to, roll the record back so it didn't go, and then you're like, I've got 10 minutes to run to the bathroom, because on a 2 to 3 minute song, that's, people still say to me to this day, like if I am at a restaurant with people and I run to the bathroom and I come back, they're like, wow, you did that fast. I'm like, radio.
And you changed all your clothes and put on makeup at the same time.
No, Tracy, you're right. And the thing, even we see with news, remember news stories on the radio, like, suddenly his name leaves the rest of the story. Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey, yes.
We could listen to that, but it has changed. And so because we have the people meter is what it's called, Nelson rating, but the people meter, it can get on people's phones. It knows what people are listening to, what they want. So it's not even as much as people giving input, it's their habits. And so that's why we take a news article and we make it 2 sentences. People don't have tolerance. So it really has changed. And the whole DJ thing, when I started, they wanted us to talk. And now they're like, tighten it up. They want you to self-reveal a little, but they mostly want you to just get to it, say what you're going to say. And that's a skill and an art. And I love that. I love learning it. I love being able to say I'm a coach. I love to take a concept and put a coaching concept before a song, like waterfalls or whatever, take the concept kind of the song and put it in there. So I do love doing that, but yeah, we are not tolerant. And that's why it's get to the point, because people, if you got a TV interview, people come and say, what do? I want to build up. I go, no, you say the very most important thing right off the bat, because that might be all you get is 7 seconds.
You teach people, and you've had so many success stories. I've been following you with the podcast 7-Day program. So if you had somebody that you saw potential there, and they, for whatever reason, were like, I don't know if I could do it, even after taking your course, what do you say to those kind of people?
That's such a good question, because I think once they take the course, they change their mindset. But when people find out what I do, these are the things they say. Oh, I can't afford all the equipment. Guess what? You can podcast on your phone. They say, I hate my voice. I go, news alert. Every DJ hates their voice. It's like there's so many things people assume. And they go, I don't have the time to put that on my plate, because I do work with busy business women, entrepreneurs. But the truth is we know what we know, and we have concepts. And I also have this formula. It's actually how I wrote my book. So if you use it for your podcast, in 52 weeks, you have a book.
Mm.
Or if you write a book, you've got 2 years worth of podcasts. So I have a formula that helps you isolate one thought and get to it. And nowadays with AI, if I did this podcast, I go put it in the transcriber. Now I've got a document. So all the content can be reused, and any talks you've given in the past, any trainings you've done, we can turn all of those into podcasts. So it's just because you don't know what you don't know. And some people go, well, you work in radio, it's simple. It's like, it is simple for me, but I give you systems and ways to do it so that you've kind of experienced some of my stuff. What have you recognized? I mean, TV is a bigger deal. You've had to create all the commercials and stuff, but what would you say in that about taking on a project?
You have to have a plan and learn from the best. I mean, we don't need to recreate the wheel, because there's so many experts and people that have been doing it. You're a testament to that. 35 years, and things that have worked for you, things that you've learned didn't work, and you threw them out the door. So when you find somebody that you can trust and believe in, which you are that person for us, we've learned so much from you.
Yes. And when we talk about the music industry or the music business, it's changed over the years so much. You have to adapt.
Yes.
Like you're in radio, you've learned it from the very beginning, and you adapted through time.
Yeah.
Because time dictates how it's going to go now. But all the parameters from the past to now. So what works and what doesn't work. Not just like someone who's been this in 2-3 years.
Right.
You know what works and what doesn't work. And you can refer back to that. It's so much greater, to be able to go, okay, well, this was way back when we did this, but it doesn't fly anymore.
Love that.
Yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, once you get in a routine, anything that you get in a routine with, so for podcasting, if your podcast is 30 minutes or less, you can maintain it in 30 minutes or less a week easily. It's not a big, and if you have a personal assistant, which a lot of people do now, you can do the podcast, give it to them. I'm doing a workshop, and it's going to have, there's a podcast guester. So she helps you get on podcasts if you don't want to have your own, or if you have your own and you need guests, and another one who manages. And it's like, some people don't want to manage it, or they don't want to edit. So let somebody else do it, because podcasters are the new influencers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. In fact, do you have a transformation story that really touched you recently that you can share with us?
This was my transformation story. I started this podcast, and Janine was one of my first guests, because I wanted people to see that we get interruptions. And I see some people get interrupted and they sit down. They stop. They can't move forward. And I want people to know you can move forward. It's not overnight. It's a process, and it's iterations. You may shift this way and then this way, but you get to a place if you keep moving forward. And so my niece, her job just got kind of taken over by AI, and she was made redundant. And so she took the summer off. And last time I saw her, she said, "Auntie, I listened to your podcast." And I go, "Oh," and she goes, "I'm sorry I haven't listened sooner." But I think it was the very first one was Molly, who does permanent makeup. And she says, "We don't age, we season." And at 58, Molly, who was the sole breadwinner in the family, her husband did the books, but she had a makeup company, and she did an awesome business. They had a house with a pool. She was doing so good, but the company went out of business. And she had to shift. And so she found a way, and now she's teaching the permanent makeup, and also teaching women how to have and run a business, because entrepreneurs start and they don't know what to do. And my niece said, "If Molly can do it at 58, I can do it too." And I thought, if that was the one episode, wasn't it worth it? Wasn't it worth it?
That's a God thing right there.
And I love the stories. And the thing is I've made many friends by having them on the podcast. And I've had many surprises. One lady, she wanted to be on the show because she makes canes. She's an amputee. And so I had her on and she said, yeah, when I became an amputee, I hated having a cane. I was so embarrassed. Everyone was, looking at me. And I got some clear acrylic, and I put it in my oven and I made a see-through cane, and everyone loved it. And she started this company. Oh, and by the way, she did a trapeze routine over Coldplay in the Paralympics. Like, she lead with that.
Wow.
It's our legacy. This is how we leave a legacy for our family, for our friends. When we're gone, we can still be inspiring people to carry on, to do the next best thing, and to speak up. And like, in my intro, I say, maybe it's just privately. When my brother-in-law passed away, my sister had his phone. We used to just call the answering machine to hear their voice. But now we can make videos, we can do recordings, and we can keep those ones we've lost and have videos. So if we just take one little story a day, and my formula is basically breaks down to 100 different stories. Take one little story about one little thing, record it, leave it on your phone. You don't have to publish it. Leave your legacy. My son, when his son was born, they named him after her grandpa. And I said, just like you're named after your grandparents. He goes, what? I go, yeah, Davis is family name. He didn't know it. I told him that probably 100 times, but he didn't remember it. He was a little kid. And I thought, this is why we leave a legacy. So they know, because they don't retain or hear everything. And this is our way to keep it alive and to keep it relevant.
Mic drop moment.
Yeah.
Truly.
We're talking with Laurie Hardie, and we'll be right back with Rockstar Diaries.
Cedar Ridge Acres soap. Why? 'Cause you smell good.
Welcome back, everybody. We are Rockstar Diaries, Healing Out Loud, and we are here with the amazing Laurie Hardie. And I really do want to mention how we met, because your life has been a life of servitude and helping homeless ladies. Everything you do is a love offering. We talk about servitude leadership. Can you talk about that for a minute and how that came to be? I think that was, 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah. In 2015, I started, it's called Esther's Place. And I did it under the umbrella of another organization. And they had said, we have this Queen It's a New Day event. We have all these clothes. They had a closet, but we keep finding women sleeping on the porch. It was at a church, and we need a place for them. And would you pray about it? And I went home and I was so mad. I'm like, you want me to take a job that I'm not going to get paid for? And I had been working in downtown Seattle, and Janine, there's a lot of homeless people, and sometimes they can be scary. And I thought, I'm afraid of the homeless people. Well, I didn't pray about it because I was just not having it. But something changed in my heart, and they gave us a Sunday school room, and I called all my friends and I said, come volunteer, bring soup. And crock pots of soup came, and I raised my kids on Whidbey Island, so they had to take a ferry to get over. And we just opened up the room, and the homeless ladies, we made it really beautiful. They would walk in and then they would back up and go, oh, I must be in the wrong place, because it was so beautiful. And we'd say, no, you're welcome here. And I fell in love with all of those ladies. And, they all have phones now because it's a safety thing. And so they still text me, or if I walk through my town out on the sidewalk and go by a Starbucks or something, there they are, hugging me, dropping their backpacks. And, it was such a wonderful experience for me to just see that people are who they are. And if we judge why they're on the street, we're often wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
I think the most beautiful thing was people would come volunteer. And of course, that's how I met you because we did this big event. But people would come, I'd say, come have lunch with us. That's how I get people to come in. And this one lady wanted to volunteer. I go, well, just come have lunch with us. And she did. And she was leaving and she said, will you walk out with me? And I go, yeah. And she goes, I don't think this is for me. And I go, really? She goes, yeah, here we're sitting at this table with all these women and I didn't see one homeless woman. And I said, you were the only, besides me, the only not homeless woman. She goes, but they had phones and they were dressed and they had awesome conversation. I go, yeah. And you made them feel like they were valuable because you treated them as though they were anybody else.
Yes.
And it was so amazing to see the transformation in her face of, oh boy, did I judge? Where's the homeless ladies? They're right next to you.
That right there is golden, what you just said. It truly is. If you could pass on one piece of advice to your grandkids, what would that be?
Leave your legacy. Read books, read stories, read to each other. You know, the thing about reading and children's books is that it's a way for you to use your voice and practice reading out loud. And so if you're going to podcast or use your voice, when you read children's books, you can't help but like moo with the cows and everything. But also to be willing to just listen and be. One of the things I think people think is they have to do. And now that I'm grandma, like the kids, I want them to just sit with me while even if they're on their phone. I just want to be in their presence. And there was this lady that came to volunteer and she asked what to do. And I said, will you go sit on the couch with that lady? And so she went and sat with her and the lady fell asleep and like for 2 hours. And when lunch came, she goes, what should I do? I go, oh, go get her some lunch and just bring it to the couch. And she did. And then when she left, she goes, you know, I feel like there was more I could do. And I said, do you know that woman hasn't slept in over a week? And you just gave her 2 hours of safety by sitting with her.
Oh.
And so being, and especially in our families now when we're not in close contact, like we're in different states, it's like, can we just be? We don't have to always do and be active, but we can just be in each other's presence, whatever we're doing.
Oh.
You know what time it is? I think it's time for the hard question.
Oh.
The hard question.
Oh no, Tracy, you didn't warn me.
He didn't warn me either, so
I just made this up as I'm going right here. I'll tell you this. But here's okay. Now you've been in radio, and you've probably seen a lot of people come in and out of that radio station. You probably met a lot of people, famous people. Who was the most famous person that you met, and what kind of food did they eat?
The most famous person I met, and I was so awestruck, was Amy Grant.
Oh.
He traveled with Michael W. Smith, and I met both of them, but he was more famous at the time. And so everybody was kind of gathering around him. And so I was like standing in front of Amy Grant, and I'm like, hi. And I was a DJ at the time, but I was so, just in awe of her. And she's my age. So she was like, I think she's a little younger. I was like 19 and she was 17. And she took her picture with me. Remember in the day with selfies with a real camera? We did it. I didn't find out her famous food, but she was really kind and nice to everybody. And, here she is kind of not the lead, but she was so gracious. And that was a highlight.
Yes, I got one.
What?
I got one that I met a celebrity. Well, I met actually a lot of celebrities, but this one kind of stands out a little bit. So I was working at a furniture store that had a grand opening, and of course they had sleeper mattresses, like Serta. That's what it was. And this lady was the spokesperson for that. And guess who it was? It was Vanna White.
No.
From Wheel of Fortune. And you know what? She talked to me. You know what she said? She looked right in the eye and she said, do you know where the bathroom is? And I said, yeah, it's right over there. I'll actually show you where the bathroom
I'll hold your hand and walk you there.
I laugh every time he tells that story.
How about you, Janine?
She is tiny. She's so small.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
She has heels on, so she looks, tall.
But
Yeah.
she was fun. Yep.
Oh, that's so cool.
I talked about loving on people, connections. I don't like calling it networking. It's just those deeper connections.
Yeah.
But you and I were talking, and we were getting ready to release our CD, but we wanted to go out and get feedback from some people in the industry. And I asked you if you would do it. And you said, well, I actually know somebody better. He's a friend of mine. And I said, who? And you said, John Fisher. Well, I just adored him, never had a chance to meet him. So when you mentioned that name, I'm like, what? Did I, what? And yeah, sure. Yeah. And so we sent him our album, and he just gave us tons of amazing feedback that just meant the world. And we ended up having dinner with the two of you. And that just goes
And
to
we
show.
closed the place down.
Yes, we did.
We were there for over 4 hours. And what's interesting is that every single one of us had a opportunity to speak and be our authentic self. There was no competition or no one person taking over. We absolutely were in awe of that night. And then to get a text from John saying, yeah, we closed out the place, but it felt like an hour. Like it didn't feel like that long. Do you remember that night? Do you agree with that? Do you feel the same?
Yeah, it was so wonderful because we all got to share stories and talk, and we learned about each other. And it was such a nice, fun evening. And I love that. And I love that I could make that connection for you because like I could listen to your music and I could have a say, but John Fisher was in the heart of music development and radio. He had been on that station for so long. He knew he could spot things. And I thought, how great if he could listen and give you some input from that.
And he gave it the thumbs up. Shameless plug for ourselves. He would.
Well, he didn't just give us a thumbs up. He really spoke to every piece of what we wanted him to talk about.
He went beyond what we thought anybody reviewing would have reviewed.
Right.
And it was just beautiful.
And it helped us to know that we're on the right track, not just with our music, but the approach, being our authentic selves and not buying into the overproduced, kind of stuff. But anyways, I just wanted to mention that story because you have introduced us to so many people. We absolutely adore you. You're even considering going down to Kalama to see us perform August 9th. And on this episode, we'll be putting, like a ad about that.
It's on the way to see my grandson who calls me from Oregon and says, Grandma LaLa, come home.
Oh,
and I have to go right past Kalama to get there. So it would be really great to go and see you and then go to see him.
We go into the bliss. Feeling high, feeling good, I'm feeling real.
I did want to mention that my sister, who we have reconciled, is going down with my other sister. They booked an Airbnb, and she's going to get up on stage with us and sing. And this is a God thing. Forgiveness.
Right now.
I mean, the whole story. I know I'm getting goosebumps. The whole story that she and I were alienated for 8 years for lots of reasons. And I don't think that we can ever be our full authentic selves with unforgiveness in our heart. We cannot be full of joy without that forgiveness and love. We have to rid of the bitterness and the resentment. And I remember you helped me through that because it was really, really a hard time. You might not remember the conversations that we had, but you helped me. You prayed with me through it. So thank you. Thank you. And look at what's happening now.
Yeah.
And so funny story. I met you and then the event that you were going to play at came up, and your sister walked by me, who I didn't know her yet, even though she has an island connection with where I grew up.
Mhm.
I said, "Oh, Janine," and she goes, "Oh no, that's my sister." So I actually thought she was you. This makes me so happy, Janine, because forgiveness isn't about us.
Mhm.
It's about freedom.
Yep.
And this makes me so happy. It makes me go, I'm going to do whatever I can to get there.
Oh, man. Well, do you have any parting words of wisdom about anything?
Yes. I have words for both of you. Your music is stories. And one of the things we talked about with the podcast was tell the story of the song. And I love that you're storytellers. I love that you're highlighting other people, and yet you're bringing your authentic selves. But most of all, you said yes. So many people get scared, and you didn't know if you could do it, but you said yes, and you believed in the people that believed in you. More people need to say yes. If one story helps one person, then isn't it worth it? And so
Mhm.
thank you for saying yes and letting me be part of your journey.
You know, Laurie, you could have used that time to hawk your program and try to make money with it. So we're going to do it for you.
Oh,
We're going to put
We
all that
really-
in there to make sure that people know about you and your program, because it is worth it.
It is worth it. So
are you a heart-led entrepreneur with a powerful message, but no idea where to start with a podcast? Maybe you're over 40 or 50, purpose-driven, and totally lit up by your mission, but secretly a little tech intimidated. Or maybe you've been asking, what mic do I use? Who will listen? Can I really do this? Hey there, lovely woman. I see you. And let me tell you, you have not missed the boat. I created the 7-Day Podcast Pro just for you. It's a guided experience where we take your voice, your wisdom, your mission, and turn it into a professional, purpose-driven podcast in just 7 days. There's no guesswork, no overwhelm, and absolutely no tech confusion. I walk you through every single step from concept to launch with clarity, confidence, and support. You don't need to know how to edit. You don't need a fancy studio. You just need your message and the courage to share it. In the end, you will have a podcast you're proud of, one that works for your business and shares your heart and helps you reach the people who need you most. If you're ready to be heard, ready to lead, and take your message national or even global, 7-Day Podcast Pro is your launch pad. Let's get your voice into the world where it belongs.
Well, I just want to say we love you.
Thank you. I love you. I'm so glad that I have gotten to know you, and it was so fun to have you on the podcast, because it was the radio podcast that I had you both on, and I'm working hard to get you on my other one.